Shalom, shalom. I want to give call halal to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Double honors to all the elders at HOI for putting their life on the line to teach us this word. This brother Yawasap back at it with a little quick chop about the warrior spirit. You feel me? It's been on me to get on this. It's going to be a 3-part series. This part 1. And a lot's going on with coronavirus, with, the vaccines and the possible martial law, which eventually is going to happen, so we got to gird up our loins, make sure we prayed up and that we strengthen ourselves for the battle that is to come. You feel me? So, this is real good too, also for any brothers who grew up like I did without a father. You dig what I'm saying? It ain't no excuse because the Most High God gave us a father, forefathers. You dig what I'm talking about? And he left the trail of how we supposed to carry ourselves as a man, you feel me, and as a woman, you feel me, in these last days. You dig what I'm saying? So even if you don't have a father in your house or what have you, the word will still give you that fatherly advice better than probably your father could have gave it to you. You feel me? So let's just get on into it. Let's go start with First Maccabees chapter 2. And this is where Mattathias had already took his stand. Mattathias already took his stand and said, we ain't following the laws of man. We're going to follow the laws of God. And we already knew what was coming. They had already had a few altercations. So we're going to start at verse 49. All right. Now, when the time drew near that Mattathias should die, he said unto his sons, now hath pride and rebuke gotten strength, and the time of destruction and the wrath of indignation. So he already knew it was on. He already knew, look, we took a stand. It's about to be on. He's a father, a warrior. Father is giving the words to his sons on how to carry themselves. Verse 50. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. Right? I love that verse. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. Right? Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time. So that shows you right there, Mattathias was even pulling off what his forefathers had done before him. So he knew how to carry himself when it came time. You know what I'm talking about? All right. He says, call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time. So shall ye receive great honor and an everlasting name. Right? Great honor and an everlasting name. That's what we want. We don't want a great honor and everlasting name doesn't come from a nice car, a nice house, nice jewelry or whatever. And all that's nice to have, but that's not what will leave you your life and your life legacy for your children. That's not what you want, right? So let's read on. Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness? And we all know what happened with Abraham. Let's get a scripture. Matthew 10. Let's go to Matthew 10 and 37. Right? Okay, Matthew 10 and 37. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. This is a principle that Abraham understood. You feel me? Abraham understood that. And we all know when it came time for him to give Isaac to the Most High God, he was willing to do that. You dig what I'm talking about? So that's a beautiful thing that the Most High God is giving us right there. That's a principle that we can carry on. You feel me? We can use that to carry on with, right? Now, let's move on. So verse 53, Joseph, in the same time of his distress, kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt, right? Let's get a scripture on that. Let's go to Psalms 112. Psalms 112, right? Because we all know that through adversity, even when Joseph could have broken the commandments, he chose not to. He always stayed strong on the commandments, right? Psalm 112, start at 1. Praise ye the Lord. Blessed is the man that feareth the Lord, that delighteth greatly in his commandments, right? His seed shall be mighty upon the earth, right? The generation of the upright shall be blessed. Wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his righteousness endureth forever, right? And we all know that Joseph ended up being second in command in Egypt. You know what I mean? After everything he went through, because he stayed true to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? And let's read on. Let's read on. Verse 54. Phinehas, our father, in being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood. Right? And we all know Phinehas was zealous, right? He was the first one. Matter of fact, let's get the classic. Let's get Psalm 94. Psalm 94, verse 16, right? Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Right? So that's exactly what Phinehas did, right? Phinehas was the first one to step up when they made the decree, and the Most High God was angry at Israel for breaking the laws. He's the first one that stepped up with that javelin, right? He was zealous for the law. That's a principle that we can take into our own character. You dig? And incorporate that into our own lives. You know what I mean? So we know how to get down when it's time to get down. You feel me? You dig? So let's move on. All right? So verse 55. Yawasap, for fulfilling the word, was made a judge in Israel. Right? And we all know about Yawasap. Let's go to 1 John. 1 John 3:16. Right? 1 John 3:16. Right? And let's read that. Hereby perceive we the love of God, because he laid down his life for us. And we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. Right? He laid down his lives for us, and we should take from that and know we got to lay down our life for our brethren. You dig what I'm talking about? They setting the example. This is how we're supposed to carry ourselves. And we're supposed to understand that when it's time to lay down your life for your brethren, that you gird up your loins and you follow that example. You dig? That righteous example. You dig? Warrior spirit. Let's keep going. Verse 56. Caleb, for bearing witness before the congregation, received the heritage of the land. And we all know when it was time to go to Jericho, everybody was scared. You know, they came back with grapes like, hey, it's good out there. It's good, plentiful land, but there's people there. And they was all scared. Let's go to Psalm 118. That's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites right there. Let's go to Psalm 118. So we all know Caleb was one of the only ones who stepped up and say, hold up. Y'all all scared? We can go up over here and take that land. The Most High God promised it to us. So the Most High God said Caleb had a different spirit. You feel me? He had that warrior spirit. You feel me? So let's go to Psalm 118, verse 6. The Lord is on my side. I will not fear what man can do unto me. You feel me? You dig? That's something you can incorporate into your life, into your character. You dig? So that when it's crunch time, you hold on for yours. You hold it down. You know what I'm talking about? Let's move on. David, verse 57. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne for an everlasting kingdom. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne for an everlasting kingdom. Right? And even though he had, we all know what kind of work David put in, he was still merciful. Let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs 16 and 7. Right? When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. You feel what I'm talking about? And what happened when David found Saul, and he could have murked Saul, but he didn't do that. He cut off a piece of his garment to let him know, hey, bro, you could have been touched. And Saul had no choice but to kind of give it up and say, hey, you the better man. You know what I mean? I know why the Most High God picked you. You dig? So these are principles that we can incorporate into ourselves. You feel me? To make us stronger men and women. You dig what I'm talking about? Warrior spirit. You feel me? Because I ain't gonna leave you women out. Y'all got to be strong too, because it ain't easy on you. You know what I'm talking about? Let's keep going. Verse 58. Elias, for being zealous and fervent for the law, was taken up into heaven. He was taken up into heaven because he was so fervent for the law and so zealous for the Most High God. He didn't even have to taste death. He got taken straight up into the. Let's stay in Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs 118. Psalm 118 again for that one. We're gonna do a lot in Psalm 118. I love that psalm. But Psalm 118 verse 17. I shall not die, but live and declare the works of the Lord. You dig? He was so zealous for the Most High God that the Most High God took him up and he didn't even have to die. You feel what I'm talking about? These are things that we want to aspire to. We want to incorporate this type of zealousness into our spirit. You feel what I'm talking about? And let's keep going. Verse 59. Ananias, Azarias, and Mishael. You know, all of y'all who grew up in the church like I did, that's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? You did? Ananias, Azariah, and Mishael, by believing, were saved out of the flame. You dig? We should go to the Song of Three Holy Children. No, matter of fact, let's go back to Psalm 118 because that's we can get something out of there too. You dig what I'm saying? Psalm 118 verse 5. I called upon the Lord in my distress. I called upon the Lord in distress. The Lord answered me and set me in a large place. You dig what I'm talking about? They was facing that fiery furnace. Matter of fact, he put it 7 times the heat, right? And all they knew, all they got to do is stay true to the Most High God, and they will just endure it. And they knew that what was on the other side is going to be much better. You know what I mean? These are principles that we got to keep. We got to keep in our mind when they come knocking on your door talking about a vaccine, or when they put a gun to your head talking about the vaccine, or where's such and such at, where's so and so at. You dig what I'm talking about? These are the principles we got to incorporate into our hearts and our minds. You dig? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Verse 60. Daniel, for his innocency, was delivered from the mouth of the lions. You dig? Daniel, matter of fact, let's get that in Psalm 118 too. Psalm 118, let's get verse 8. It's better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. Verse 9. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes. You feel me? So when the king and the princes come up to you talking about, oh, well, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to put you in this lion's den. He understood this principle that it's better to put his trust in the Most High God. So he was like, do what you got to do. You feel what I'm talking about? That's that warrior spirit. That's what we got to take into our spirit. We got to take that with us. You dig what I'm talking about? We got to meditate on that on a daily and nightly basis, because the times that's coming towards us is going to be harder than what we could imagine. That's what the scriptures say. You dig? So we got to gird up our loins so that we can handle the fight. You dig what I'm talking about? I love that. Let's go to verse 61 now. Let's say, and thus consider ye throughout all ages, that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome. Fear not then the words of a sinful man, for his glory shall be dung and worms. Today he shall be lifted up, and tomorrow he shall not be found. Right? That's like Psalm 49:11, where they think their houses is going to go on forever. It ain't going to go on forever. You dig? It ain't going on forever, Esau or Ham or Moab. It ain't going on forever. You dig what I'm talking about? Because he is returned into his dust, and his thought is come to nothing. Verse 64, wherefore ye, my sons, be valiant, and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it you shall obtain glory. You dig? By that's how you obtain glory, by holding up the law of the Most High God. That's how you obtain glory. You dig what I'm talking about? It ain't nothing you doing on the block. It ain't nothing you doing on this, that, or the third. All that worldly nonsense. Matter of fact, let's close it out with this one. You dig? Because David did the same thing when he had to give his final words to Solomon, right? So he had to give his final words to Solomon. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 2, right? And let's read a couple of these verses. Now the days of David drew nigh that he should die. And he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man. Be thou strong and show yourself a man. You dig? Verse 3, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways. This is the last words that King David, mighty King David, gave to his son Solomon before he passed away. And keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself. You dig? Warrior spirit. And that's what we about. And that's what we got to be on. And my hope and prayer for everybody listening to all of Israel is that we soak that up. Soak that up. You dig? Daily and nightly. Because it's going to get harder. And we gotta get harder. You dig what I'm talking about? So that we can handle this. Because it's going to get savage like it did in those Maccabees days. You dig what I'm talking about? So, that's that. That's in the part 1. Just shoot brother, again, this is Brother Yawasap. Shoot me a like, shoot me a subscribe, bro. Israel, sis, whoever's out there listening. And I want to give call halal to Yahweh Shem Shai. Again, double honors to the elders of HOI all over the country who put their life on the line for this. You dig? Who had that warrior spirit. You dig what I'm talking about? And shalom to all the mighty camps out there with boots on the ground, you know what I'm saying, doing the work, trying to wake up the lost sheep. You dig what I'm talking about? Shalom.